good evening, depending where you are in the world. Welcome back to the channel Guide for Autism. On this channel, we share different tips on how to support your child from home so that your child can grow independent and also in a loving family. So if you are new here and you have not subscribed, please do, so that you don't miss out any video being shared here every single week. In today's video, I'm going to talk about traveling. So if you want to learn more about how you can prepare your child in terms of traveling, so please stay tuned so that you don't miss out any tips are going to be shared in this video today. So the reason why I'm talking about traveling is because recently my son's school, they have been organizing a trip to travel outside the country, and I was so excited about my child being away from me. He has never been away any single day. Everywhere I go, I'm with him. I don't know about you, but for me, since my son was born, he has never slept out of the house where I'm not. Even if I travel, I make sure I go with him. So this was going to be the first time I'm going to let him go away from me, from the siblings, and just to be himself where none of the family is available. So it was quite exciting for me. But at the same time, everything started playing in my mind. How is he gonna sleep? How is he gonna cope with other children? How, you can imagine how many questions I was asking myself. It's normal to ask yourself those questions, because then you're not gonna be able to prepare your child if you don't ask yourself those questions. However, in doing that, I also acknowledge those questions and I let them go. I started the process of preparing him. In terms of preparing, as a parent, we formed a group for all the children who are going to travel, so that the school will be able to communicate where the children are about, what they are doing, getting the updates and so on. At some point, one of the parents suggested that our children should go with their mobile phones, because somehow, every single parent want to know how their child been throughout the day, what they have eaten, and all those kind of things. I think through the chat we were going through, I could see so much anxiety were raising from the parent, as they were really worried how their children are going to cope. I was one of who suggested the children not to go with the mobile phones, because then the purpose of the traveling, it may not be fulfilled as planned. For them having a phone, I would think that is something, entertaining for them. But then I knew that it was going to be a struggle for teachers who are going with the children to manage them with a mobile phone. So I suggested that the mobile phone should not be used in this environment. But if we need to get updates on how the children are doing, then the teachers should be able to communicate with us through the same group. And we all agreed with that, and the children left with no mobile phones. And we were relying on the picture for breakfast, what they have eaten, what have they had for breakfast, lunch and dinner, the places they have been visiting. And it was really calming and reassuring for us to see this kind of communication. But now, thinking about how the journey went, the children went successfully and came back with no concern. But I realized something throughout the conversation we were having with the teacher, and also the kind of conversation as a parent we were having before the children travel. I realized that most of the parents, they had this anxiety on how the children will be coping throughout. And at some point, because I was a part of them, I started feeling the same thing. However, I didn't allow it to take over of how I feel about my son. And most of the concern was that parents did not trust what their children are capable of doing. I understand that we know these children, they need support, and you feel like as a mother, the support they're supposed to get, they are not gonna be able to get it because you're not there. Also, most of the worries, as you know, children with autism, they tend to choose what to eat and what to drink and so on and so on. So most of the parents, they were really worried that their children are not going to be able to eat enough, they are not going to be able to get the variety of the food they would love to eat. You can think about so many things while just coming up, and sleeping pattern and use of the toilet, bedwetting, it's a group where parents really express themselves and the concern they have. And also we managed to even had a meeting prior to the travel, and you can see that parents were really having a really hard time on how their children they will manage during the trip. As a parent who participated, who let my son go in that trip, I noticed something that I really want to bring to the table, so that if there is any time you're going to let your child travel without you, maybe these are some of the things you can start considering, and don't let them worry you. So number one is having trust in your child. And what I can tell you is that your child can easily know how much you trust them. Your child can easily know how positive you are about them. And once you have shown your child that you actually positive about whatever is happening, your child is not going to disappoint you. Number two, trust people who are going to take your child. I have worked with vulnerable children, and it's not everyone can work in this environment. What I know is that anyone who is willing to work with the children, they will go ahead to handle different situations. So trust these people, trust them, and allow them to do their job. Especially, for example, for us, the children were traveling with the school teachers and support workers, so they know, the children know their teachers already, and they know all these support workers. It's not like they are people who are coming from outside. So that was really something good. It facilitated the journey to go smoothly. Try to trust people who are going with your child, because most people who are willing to work with your child, they've got a good heart. So having that trust is very crucial. And I think for us, for our children, they traveled with their teachers and support workers, so they already know each other. So it wasn't anything difficult at all. Number three, try to trust anyone who's taking your child to for a trip, because especially for me, my child went with school teachers and support workers, and I know that these people have a good heart. So having that trust is very important. Also, number four is that you need to show that trust to your child, that you actually trusting your child to take this step, because that's one of the most important thing. Your child, they want to see that you're very supportive and you are okay to let them go, to let them be, because at some point they need to grow up independent anyway. So if you want to encourage them, it's now. Depend the age where your child is, you can start it from anywhere. Start encouraging your child to live independent. When they realize that's your motivation, your child will always work with. And another things that I realized was the most crucial during the preparation was that I had to speak to my child about the trip well in advance. I was showing him the picture of where he will be going. I also explained to him on a regular basis the place he will be going, and we watched so many types of people who are traveling, parking and everything. And I also let him pack his clothes. I let him pack his, like, everything he needs. He puts everything together in his bag because I wanted him to know that he's going away. He's going to be the one taking responsibility of getting the clothes, taking himself to shower, and just be independent. And that was really good things to do because over time he got to understand that he would be going. And each time you ask your child, do you remember where you'll be going? If your child can't remember, please remind them, this is where you'll be going. You're not gonna be there as a parent, sibling. Your child will be going by himself or by herself. Please do that so that your child understands what is going to happen. In terms of routine, this is something that I expected to change, especially sleeping time or the time he eats when he's here. All that routine, although I know it's going to be a sequence of what happens from home, breakfast, lunch, dinner, taking a shower, all those kind of things. However, the time was going to be completely different of, for example, the time to wake up, the time to take a wash, the time to have breakfast, lunch and dinner. But I didn't let all that worry me because I knew that, of course, it's going to be a little bit of different. I knew that it's going to be different because new environment and also new routine that the teachers are going to introduce to them, activity wise, eating time, all those kind of things. So I knew that it may be a little bit of change for him, but I trust that he's going to go through it. And also for me, another thing that I put in consideration was choosing the right seat for him, because I've traveled with him before and I know that he likes sitting by the window. So I made sure that I communicated this with someone who's buying tickets for him, and I make sure I pay extra cost to make sure that he gets the window seat, because I knew if he was not going to get a window seat, it was going to be a problem. So it's about all knowing about your child and really letting them be, letting them go. And what I can say is that when my son came back, it was completely, I could see the change, and I was so glad I had to let him go. When he came back, I started seeing him eating some food we've never really tried for him here. And that is because when he went to this trip, I was communicating with the teachers. I could see the type of food they are giving him. He's eating that food, and actually I don't prepare it here. So when he came back, I prepared the same food and he was eating the food. So that was really kind of positive again for me to have let him go, because he came back with different positive changes of him not choosing, of him knowing what actually else I can try. That was positive for me. So if you're someone who is really considering letting your child go out away from you, please try. Even if it's one day or one night, let your child go away from you so that your child can have a different experience. So apart from that, in terms of preparation, you can also do some social stories, communicating with your child. Apart from that, you can also do social stories about traveling and looking at some of the YouTube videos to do with the traveling, so that your child started developing that motivation about traveling and what involves and the process and so on and so on. So that's what I've got for you today. And please, if you have any other things that you would like to share with me, how you prepare your child to travel, please do. And honestly, for me, this traveling, my son being away from me, has been the best experience. It has been the best experience ever. So if you are a parent out there and you want your child to travel, but you are very concerned about how your child is going to be, trust yourself and trust your child, and trust people who are going to take your child. I can assure you that your child will be fine. He will go or she will go and come back, and your child is going to learn a lot. And that's one of the most thing your child want anyway. Your child want you to trust them and also support them to be more independent, because the more you show them you worrying about how they are going to survive, it gives them a very concern. Although they may not be able to communicate with you, but it gives them a very concern, because at the same time they want to see you happy and they want to feel happy as well. So try to be more open, be more flexible, and allow your child to be at some point. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on my next video.